Hispanic Lifestyle is pleased to have the support of Wells Fargo Bank. For more information, visit their website at wellsfargo.com. With roughly 60 million Latinos in the U.S., we highlight Latinas of influence, businesses surviving to thrive. We talk culture, travel, health, wellness, music, entertainment, and of course, food. Our passion is to share inspiring stories with the community. I'm Richard Sandoval, and this is Hispanic Lifestyle. My good, Rebecca, how long have you been in this job?
I have been with the Registrar of Voters Department since, 1999. I started out as a student intern and worked my way up as opportunities presented themselves. And I've been in the department head position since 2014.
Before I get into the meat and potatoes, what is it about this job that you love? I mean, an intern to where you are now, you must have some passion and love for this job.
Just letting the communities have their voice and make sure that they participate in our democracy and our democratic system.
So with that said, these are strange times. Can you talk a little bit about how Riverside County is going to be voting this year in this year's election?
Sure. Yes. So we know that the pandemic has had an impact on all of us, and it has definitely had an impact on the way we conduct elections. And so there's a number of things that will be changing for this November's election. There are two executive orders from the governor. And so one of the executive orders states that we have to mail everybody a ballot, every registered voter a ballot. And then the second executive order put forth formulas for in-person voting opportunities. And so the second executive order stated that we had to have at least one in-person voting opportunity for every 10,000 registered voters, and that we also had to have additional vote by mail drop-off locations. We have to have one for every 15,000 registered voters, and in addition to the locations, we had to increase the number of days that they're available. So what we're calling voter assistance centers, which are our in-person voting opportunities, have to be available for 4 days, 3 days before election day, and then election day itself. Excuse me. So I can walk through what the voting experience will look like.
I really appreciate that. And especially what we should be preparing for. And I know we're doing this interview on September 30th. Has voting already started? Where are we in the process?
Voting has only started for military and overseas voters. So we have sent out vote by mail ballots to military and overseas voters. And the official day for the rest of the community is October 5th. So basically what the voter experience is going to look like for this election is all voters will receive their voter information guide, and those started going in the mail last Thursday, and the mailings are continuing this week. There's 1.2 million books that are going out in the mail, and in that voter information guide, it will have the list of the voter assistance centers. So the difference between a voter assistance center and a polling place is you are not assigned to a voter assistance center. So traditionally in elections in Riverside County, you're assigned to one particular polling place, and we usually have about 600 of those polling places. For this November, we'll have voter assistance centers, and there will be 130 of them. So instead of 600 locations, we'll have 130 locations, and that is basically based on issues with COVID. So a lot of locations are closed to the public and are not available to serve as polling places. So we're switching to this voter assistance center model. And so we'll have 130 voter assistance centers. Voters are not assigned to one particular center. You could choose out of all the 130 centers which one you would like to go to. We are encouraging voters to go ahead and vote their vote by mail ballot. With only 130 centers, we don't want them to become overwhelmed or too crowded. So for those voters that can use a vote by mail ballot, we encourage that. And for the voter assistance centers, we prefer voters that maybe never received their vote by mail ballot, lost their ballot, made a mistake on it, need the in-person assistance, whether it be they need a bilingual election officer to assist them, or they need the audio ballot that is available at the voter assistance centers. So those are the type of services that will be offered at those centers. So they'll get their voter information guide. In that book, there will be the list of all 130 centers and their hours of operation. The 130 centers are spread out throughout the county, and their hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Starting on October 31st. So the 31st through the 2nd, which is Saturday through Monday, they're open from 9 to 5. And then on election day, they're open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's the Voter Assistance Center. Then they will also, in that book, there'll also be the list of the vote by mail drop-off locations. We have 80 vote by mail drop-off locations. So if voters choose not to return their ballot through the mail, they can drop it off at any of the drop-off locations. Also inside that guide will be a sample of what their ballot will look like, and then as well as their candidate statements and measure material for their particular address. And then on the back of the book will be their suggested voter assistance center. So even though you could go to any of those locations because they have live connectivity to the voter registration database, we are putting a suggested location so that way we don't overwhelm one or two locations with all of the voters in Riverside County. We're trying to spread out which locations voters go to.
If for our friends that are physically challenged, have some disabilities, what do you suggest? Are you suggesting that they go to the assistance centers? What are your thoughts?
It's really up to the voter. So we encourage everybody who can use a vote by mail ballot to go ahead and use their vote by mail ballot and either put that back in the USPS process that the return envelope is postage paid, so they just need to sign it and drop it back into the mail. If they don't want to do that, then they could go to the drop off locations and drop it off. They could also go drop it off at a voter assistance center. But if they cannot use their vote by mail ballot and vote independently, then they could certainly come into the voter assistance center and cast their ballot using their assistive technology with our voting system, or have somebody at the location assist them in casting their ballot. Also, just wanted to mention the vote by mail drop off boxes open up on October 5th. So that's also the day that the ballots start going in the mail. So the voter information guides are currently being mailed starting on October 5th. The vote by mail ballots will start going out to 1.2 million registered voters in Riverside County. And then the drop-off locations will also open up on that same day. And then voters can start utilizing the drop-off locations. And then, as I mentioned earlier, on October 31st, the voting assistance centers will open up.
Will you kind of clarify some things for us? Is this going to be a safe process?
Sure. So with the vote by mail ballots, when those go in the mail, we coordinate. We have a very good relationship with the USPS. We coordinate that mailing. You can track the status of your ballot through the Secretary of State's website. It's called Ballot Tracks. If you put in your information, you will either get a text message or an email when the ballot is making its way through the USPS AGS system. So you could track the status of your ballot, both incoming and outgoing. Once it comes here to our office, we signature verify it. So there's a signature, you put your signature on the envelope. We verify that that signature matches the signature on the voter registration card that we have here on file. If it does not match, we notify the voter. So we send them a letter letting them know the signature didn't match and give them an opportunity to correct that issue. Let's see, if at the voting assistance centers, we have live connectivity to the voter registration database. So what that process would look like is they come in, they will fill out an application for a replacement ballot because you've already been issued the one ballot. They'll fill out an application for a replacement ballot. They will double check that they're registered to vote at the address listed on the application, check the signature there. And part of the process at the Voter Assistance Center is to make sure that that vote by mail ballot that was originally issued has not been voted. So they'll check the voter's voting history. If it has not been returned, then they will issue a ballot and void that ballot here, right then and there at the Voter Assistance Center. So only one ballot can be accepted for each voter record. So yeah, the system, there's lots of checks and balances, and it's very safe to go to vote by mail. But we do have, we want to make sure that we have lots of different methods for voters to cast their ballot. So if they don't want to use the USPS, they can use the drop-off locations. If they need to vote in person, they can go ahead and do that as well.
I live in Menifee, California. Where would a drop-off or assistance center be in my area?
You can go to our website. It's www.voteinfo.net, VOTEINFO.net, and a list of all of the 130 locations, voter assistance centers are there, as well as the 80 drop-off locations. So we focus most of our efforts on county libraries, city libraries, community centers, senior centers. So depending on what facilities were available in each area of the county, you'll see that list of what was the final selection on our website.
So places that we're used to going, part of our daily lives. So it's not something really out of the ordinary.
We tried to focus on government type facilities that are ADA compliant and have plenty of public parking.
But just going over a couple of key points, October 5th is when is when all the action really starts. And then the last day to register to vote is?
October 19th, and that is, that's the 15-day close of registration. If you're registered by October 19th, you will qualify to get a ballot mailed to you, but you can still register after that date. You just won't be able to get a vote by mail ballot. You'll have to, you can register in our office and get what's called a conditional provisional ballot. Or you could do it at the voter assistance centers. You can register to vote and get a conditional provisional ballot. What that means is that we have to check against the statewide database to make sure that you weren't registered in another county within the state. So there's still opportunities to register after the 19th, but if you want to get a vote by mail ballot, it's the 19th.
Still November 3rd, if your ballot needs to be in one way or another by November 3rd, is that correct?
Yes, so it has to be either in our possession by 8 p.m. on November 3rd or postmarked and received within 17 days. So that was one of the law changes. It does have to be postmarked on or before November 3rd. It used to be that it could be delivered within 3 days, but because of concerns with USPS being overwhelmed, it was extended to 17 days. So we will be checking postmarks on a daily basis for 17 days after the election.
When do you think we'll get the results of the election here in Riverside County?
So we will release the first round of results shortly after 8 p.m. on election night. And that would be all of the vote by mails that are received in our office by the Monday before the election day, plus the in-person voting that's done over the weekend before election day. That would be what gets released shortly after 8 p.m. on election night. And then we will do hourly updates as the ballots come in from the voter assistance centers from that day. So we probably won't be done that night until probably about 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, as we're waiting for ballots to come in from the Blythe area. Riverside County is about 7,200 square miles, so it takes a while for, if polls close at 8 p.m., for everybody to get their ballots back here for counting. But we do have to still signature verify all the vote by mail ballots that are dropped off that day, and then take the postmark ballots and process the provisional ballots after election night. So nothing's ever final on election night. We process as much as we can for that first release of results, but if it is a close contest, it may not be, you may not know the outcome until we certify on December 3rd.
Well, once again, I really want to thank you for your time and, more importantly, for your service to our county. I appreciate your work, and once again, thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate the opportunity to spread the word of how this election is going to go. We know it's quite different, and voters, have a lot of questions regarding what to expect. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Didn't get enough? There's always more at HispanicLifestyle.com. And follow us on your favorite social media platform.